This is the Microsoft Cloud Show, episode 164. Today, CJ and I are going to talk a little cloud news, Microsoft's Connect conference, talk about the new MacBooks, some GA announcements from PowerApps and Flow, and then talk about Microsoft Teams, a new product from Microsoft available in preview today. Recorded live November the 3rd, 2016. Welcome to the Microsoft Cloud Show, the only place to stay up to date on everything going on in the Microsoft Cloud world, including Microsoft Azure, Office 365, SharePoint, and the competitive landscape and related technologies. Just the information, no marketing, no BS. I'm Andrew Connell.
And I'm Chris Johnson.
Send us a tweet, either to the show at MS Cloud Show or to Andrew at Andrew Connell.
Or Chris at LoungeFlyZ.
As we'd love to connect with you. We're just two dudes telling you how we see it. The Microsoft Cloud Show is sponsored by Valid NL. Valid is a Microsoft Gold partner whose mission is to enable its customers to excel in their business through the innovative use of technology. Valid is always on the lookout for consultants, architects, and engineers. Do you know Azure, Business Intelligence and Analytics, .NET, Office 365, or SharePoint? Look them up on valid.nl. Good morning, CJ.
It's not that great, man. I'm getting sick.
Oh, it's good for me, man. Not you getting sick.
I'm coming down with my first cold of the winter.
Man cold?
Yeah, it's feeling pretty bad. I'll give you that. Yeah. My wife's already given me shit about it. Pardon my French. So yeah, on the whole, not too bad, but yes, feeling a little bit stuffy. So apologies for any coughs, sneezes, or sniffles during the show.
Very nice. Well, I'm sorry you're not feeling so well, but the show must go on. Oh man, I'm on top of the world right now. So yesterday I did the whole, I guess, announcement, or I don't want to say it's a launch. I guess you could say it's a pre-launch, but I did the whole announcement of my new venture, the training site Voitanos. But I know we're recording this on November the 1st. So by the time everybody hears this, it'll probably be, a good week into it. But the last episode, we talked a little bit about it. But yesterday on the calendar, October the 31st on Halloween, I decided to say, let's just open up the covers. And I put a blog post out, some Twitter stuff, Facebook stuff, and I'll give some people some insight behind the scenes who are, who listen to the show and who may have been following that. The idea is that I'm following a model where you are trying to generate some interest for it to kind of judge the reaction from people. But the idea is to build an email list up for people who are interested so that when I actually have the course ready for people to subscribe to it and buy it, I can go right out to my email list and I'm not trying to go buy random ads all over the place. I'm actually have a list of people who are interested in it. And so my goal yesterday the goal between now and then is to build up my email list of people who want it, so that I can go target them later. And yesterday was all organic stuff, just kind of an announcement. Here it is. Get friends to post it. I've been on top of the world, absolutely thrilled with the response that I got. But then the next thing is people will start seeing, like, I'm going to take the demographics of the people who signed up and use that to help, create some Facebook ads and reach out to more people to get the list even bigger. And there is, to be clear, I had a few people that asked the question, but there's nothing to go see or go buy today. I love it if there was, but there's not. It's coming soon, and I will have something in December of this year, of 2016. So the best thing I can say is just sign up for the email list. Go to voitanos.io, go sign up for the email list, and I will be in touch with you as soon as I've got something. And I can guarantee you that the people that are on that list are the ones that are going to get the first op to jump in on a couple limited offers that I'm going to do.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. It was cool to see it all go live. I know we spoke about it on the show last week, and now it's all out in the open. So well done.
Thank you. The one thing that was really nice is I've had a good handful of people who come back to me and then said, I love the logo. By looking at the logo, I can tell exactly what you're doing without even going to the site. And I know you were involved in some of the reviews of the logos, as was a bunch of other like close friends. And it was really coming down. I used this site called 99 Designs, and I had some ideas about what I wanted, but I was looking for designers to be creative. And it was really freaking cool to see all the designs come in. And then there was two different camps that were like, I either want something that's simple and just like an icon, but the other camp was, I want something that says, what you do. And it really came down to two camps. It was really agonizing. And I was like, you know what? I want something that says what I do. And to see some people go, I love the icon. It says exactly what you do. I can tell you do video training and it's all going to be coming and feeding my brain. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even ask you to say that. That's perfect.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. It's looking really good. And obviously the videos look really crisp and clear as well. So yeah, it's going to come together nicely.
Yeah. So videos are going to get better. I'm doing some stuff to upgrade my recording rig. Those were intentionally put up just in a short term, quick little bit to get people to take a look at some stuff. But those will get better. I'm using a site called Wistia, which gives me really good analytics on when people go to watch the videos. So it's really slick. But yeah. So thanks, man. So what's new in your world other than being sick? Anything new?
Well, what's new? I got a new iPhone.
Ah, nice. What'd you get?
The iPhone 7 Plus that arrived yesterday. It is, I'm not going to wax on about how awesome this thing is because it's just an iPhone, right? But it's definitely quicker than my old thing. I was noticing my old one was like lagging between apps, and it was frustrating every now and again. You'd be trying to get something done on it or, find something, and it was taking a little while. It's definitely much, much quicker, which suits me great.
I'm having an issue with my iPhone 6, and it seems to crash probably about 10 times a day. Random stuff. I thought it was Outlook, but...
Yeah, I haven't had that on the new one yet, but having said that, I've only had it less than 24 hours, so I don't think I've given it enough time yet.
Hey, no crashes even overnight in 24 hours would be a significant improvement for me.
Yeah, I was getting a few of those on mine as well, to be fair, so I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, that's a nice new little bit of hardware to play with. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hey, today we were going to do a bit of a news show. I know we've done a bunch of interview shows. We potentially may have a really cool interview next week. We'll see.
The mother of all interviews. Let's just say that.
We have, you know what? I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to hope I'm not going to jinx it. So you're going to hear some knocking here. That's from me knocking on my desk, but hopefully I don't jinx us. But let's just say that we have gotten the approval or the acceptance of the person who we would interview, and we're now with the person's scheduler trying to find time in their schedule. And you and I basically said, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in Redmond next week for the MVP Summit. And you and I basically said, anything. We are from Monday through Thursday. You tell us when it is, and we will show up and we'll be there. We'll be at his office. We'll be all good.
Yeah, exactly. We will make this happen if it's going to be possible.
So we're crossing our fingers. We hope to goodness we things come through with that. But yeah, it'll be good. But hey,
it'll be really cool.
It'll be awesome. So yeah, so next week I'll be at the MVP Summit. So this will come out at the summit, and it'll be fun to see everybody and get some kind of behind the scenes on some stuff that's going on. But today we're going to do a little bit of news, and I thought we'd start it off with hey, we got a bunch of Microsoft news here, so let's do some stuff that's not Microsofty. And you just talked about your iPhone, so how about we talk about Apple's in the last episode we talked about Microsoft's hardware event about the Surface. And right after that, the next day, of course, when we recorded, the news came out about Apple coming out with their new refreshed MacBook Pros, I should say. So what was your take?
Well, I know you and I have differing opinions on this, so this would be interesting. I thought it was a total letdown. Simple as that. I thought after 4 years or whatever it's been of waiting for a new MacBook Pro lineups and specs and all that sort of stuff, it's been a long time. And I was expecting a lot more. I'm not sure anybody has much left in laptops. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, in terms of innovation and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't anything particularly new, right? Great. So you've taken away all my USB ports, and my Thunderbolt ports are now port plugs that I no longer have anything that plugs into. You didn't take away my audio jack, which I think is correct.
Yeah.
Which was very encouraging, excuse the pun. and then the touch bar thing. I mean, I get that. Like, it's kind of cool, but for me, it's totally pointless because you can't touch type with one of those things. You can't hit the buttons. You don't know where they are. It changes what's up there the whole time. And I just thought it was like a real meh feature. I understand that like thing is thinner and lighter and less volume. That's cool. I like that. And it's much quicker. The performance is really quite a bit better, which is awesome. But 16 gigs of RAM still seems a bit limiting for hardcore techies and video producers and that sort of thing. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit meh.
Yeah. So the big news that they had around this for people who may have missed it was they had a couple other pieces of hardware they talked about this event, like Apple TV and just some random stuff. But the big thing was MacBook. And so what they had done with the MacBook Pro. And so what the big announcements were, the screen is brighter. It's like 67% brighter. It's got like 30 to 60% more pixels. So the screen is nicer. The CPU got a bit of an upgrade. It's using the Skylake chip. I'll come back to that in just a minute. The Intel Skylake chipset, which is about a year old. They've got 16 gigs of RAM is still the max you can do on it, which is well, we'll come back to that in a second. The video card got a significant update. It's not an NVIDIA anymore. I don't think it was an NVIDIA before. It's an ATI Radeon. Forget the actual model number, but you can get it now with a 4 gigs of memory, not just 2 gigs. The touch bar was a big update. The keyboards using that butterfly keys is a new bit. The trackpad's bigger. Of course, yes, just like true Apple fashion. It's bigger. It's thinner. It's lighter, and it now comes in space gray. Let's be very clear. That's the deciding factor.
And to be fair, would be my deciding factor. Yeah.
So here's my take. I've got a MacBook Pro from the late 2013 edition. I'm now approaching my third year of this thing, my end of my third year with this thing. And I like it. I love it. If this machine fell in a pond today and I need to go buy a new machine, I would go order the brand new one that they came out with last week and be perfectly happy because it is a performance boost and an upgrade from what I have now. Since you and I've talked about it, though, my thoughts have kind of changed a bit on it. I definitely don't have this, I got to go out and go get it. Or I don't have this device envy kind of a thing with it that I've had with other releases that they've had in the past. There are a couple bits of this one, though, that are very disappointing. For instance, the fact that they're using a 1-year-old CPU, the Skylake chip, and not the most current one, the Kaby Lake chip, is a big disappointment for me personally, because the battery performance of the Kaby Lake is a big step up from the Skylake chip. And I found a couple articles that compare Skylake to Kaby Lake specifically around video stuff and like the 4K stuff. And it is incredible how much more efficient the Kaby Lake is for like 4K video, like something to where the Skylake, it runs around like 40 to 50% of one of the cores to do 4K, where Kaby Lake, only one of the cores runs at less than 5%. It's a ridiculous drop. I read something else that said that the big reason they did not go with a 32 gig option was because of power consumption, and they're actually waiting for the next Intel chip to be able to handle the 32 gigs that would do better on the power consumption. And there's an article that came out this morning, the day that we're recording this. It was, now take this for what it's worth. I don't want to treat this as news because this is really just an analyst pontificating, but it is apparently that Apple is going to refresh it, one of those like subtle refreshes they do next year where there's nothing new hardware wise in terms of like the device itself, but it'll say, hey, now you can do a 32 gig option and now the CPU is the better CPU. So it would be a much bigger update. To me, those are big. I mean, right now it's disappointing they didn't go with a 32 gig option. To be fair, I don't do a lot of VM work. I have not had a memory issue with this thing, even at 16 gigs for the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm the same, right? I don't use VMs, but I'm sure when you're doing tons of video editing and all that sort of stuff, more RAM is better, right? So it
is, but the CPU and the GPU are the two big ones for me. And I'm not rushing out to get it. I'm going to hold off and kind of see where things go with this. But it was the media talk around this announcement has been really interesting. We're going to put a link to an article from Wired in the show notes that talk about, it says the new MacBooks are finally here and they seem certainly worth the wait. That might be one of the only 2 or 3 articles I've seen.
Well, that's like saying if you've never had water in the last 3 years that it's worth the wait for a drop, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I don't know, that seems a little silly to me.
I will find another article where a guy, I think, nailed it, which is if you're going to go buy a laptop today, this is a great machine. If you're sitting on an existing MacBook Pro looking for an upgrade, you're just going to be like, yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah.
And it's a little disappointing. The touch bar, I don't think it's controversial. I like the idea of it. I'm not a touch screen kind of person. I've got a Surface Pro 4 and I don't care to touch my screen. It doesn't, my hands have to come off the trackpad or the keyboard, that irritates me.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It's I feel for all those people with $400 hinge docks that will need to go get a new one.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. The only ports that you see on this thing are 4 USB-C ports, which are also Thunderbolt 3s, and a headphone jack, which is funny because your new iPhone 7, you actually can't plug it into this new laptop.
Apple have gone nuts with the dongles.
Apparently they weren't that courageous.
Exactly. Now you need a dongle to power your phone and listen to music at the same time. And if your powered dongle is being powered from your MacBook, you need another dongle for your MacBook to plug in. Yo, dog, I got a dongle for your dongle.
That's funny you say that because I was looking at it the day when it came out. I'm like, all right, so what do I carry right now? I carry a VGA, I carry an HDMI, I carry an Ethernet dongle for my existing MacBook Pro. And I'm like, well, really all I need is a Thunderbolt 2 to a Thunderbolt 3/USB-C dongle. So I need a dongle for my dongle and then I'm cool.
It's a dongle daisy chain.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's going to get a little nasty. It might get a little nasty. So I do like the fact of like these USB-Cs / Thunderbolt 3s that are interchangeable. So any of the ports now can be used as a power port or a video port or any of the. I think that's pretty cool.
That is kind of cool. It'll just take a while for people to get new dongles and adapters and bits and pieces and things that you can plug into that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Hey, what about some cloud news?
Let's switch over to the cloud news. You want to go to the bad news or bad/good news about Twitter?
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
So that they're cutting jobs, trying to sort of align themselves with 2017, and they're cutting products.
Yeah.
So they bought Vine a while ago, but now they're ditching it or something. They're discontinuing it. Actually, it was pretty funny. I think some listeners, you'll have to excuse me for a second because this is a little not exactly safe for work, but Pornhub came out and said they want to buy Vine off Twitter because they reckon that you only need 9 seconds.
Oh, that's good.
Which I thought was pretty, I thought it was pretty witty when they came out and said that. So Twitter said that they're cutting 9% of its global workforce to keep costs down. And this is just, alignment with cost cutting for next year, basically.
Yeah, they cut 300 employees. Their profits did go up. They are revenue rose by 8% to $616 million. They did say there was an interesting quote here from an analyst, Michael. I think his name is Proctor. He said Twitter needs to grow revenue by 200 to 300 million a quarter to achieve 2017 profitability. He said, quote, the run rate for the year is under 100 million in profit. So it's really hard justifying spending 15 or 18 billion to buy $100 million profit company, end quote. Got compare that run rate to Microsoft and what the one we talked about in the last episode.
Oh yeah. It's nuts.
Staggering.
Yeah, I think they're in for a bunch more of this going forward as well.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. Not great.
No, not great. But hey, some other stuff we can talk about, other cloud news here. I'll do the quick one. Microsoft has an event called Connect. You may have heard of this from previous years, but on November the 16th at 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, they have an event. If you go to connectevent.microsoft.com, you can sign up. It's a free online event. It's kind of like a free conference, but it's only primarily I think about it for devs and such. But it's really cool because you can sit there, you join in, see what's going on, what's new, a lot of Azure stuff that we can expect here. There's some Xamarin stuff as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like build is in the early part of the year and Connect is in the latter part of the year. Usually it's around this time. And so it's kind of like they get every 6 months they get to talk about dev stuff. So it's pretty exciting. And I guess we'll see some updates from Microsoft about stuff they're doing in the dev world and mostly Azure world and devices and things like that as well with Windows and stuff like that. So it'll be a good sort of six-month check-in with them and see how they're going.
So another bit of news that we saw out of Microsoft was from TechCrunch. We have an article that we'll post in the show notes. Is Microsoft open sources its next-gen cloud hardware design. So Microsoft announced, I believe this was on October the 31st, they announced their next-gen hyperscale cloud hardware design, which they've contributed to the Open Compute project. So other people that are involved in that are Facebook, Google, Intel, IBM, Rackspace, and other cloud vendors. And what this is they're really just sharing like what it looks like what the hardware looks like that they want to be able to share with everyone. So a couple interesting features about this is that like the picture of it shows like the DDR4 RAM modules, next-gen CPUs, PCIe cards, a universal motherboard, 50 gigabit networking, and up to 8 SSDs that you can plug in these guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one of these for home.
I'm going to get a couple. I want to get a rack full.
Yeah. You could run your own cloud. Yeah. Hey, it could actually be the cloud show. Like, we could have a cloud.
Our own private cloud.
That's right. No, it would make it public. You could run apps on it and stuff. We'll be rich.
There we go. I heard a guy talking. I was at an event recently, and I heard a guy talking about cloud and what is the cloud, and he was saying if you have your own server that your own office uses, then that's a cloud. And that's a cloud. That's a cloud. And I was like, when we talk about cloud, we mean private cloud means like a massive data center that's just your stuff, not like something a little work group of like 10 people. That's now you're taking the term way too far.
Yeah, it's not computers at a desk or anything.
No, I don't see that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's nice that they're sort of operating out in the open like this and contributing with Google and Facebook and IBM and Rackspace and all that as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, another bit of news that we have here are some GA bits from Microsoft. Do you want to share these with our listeners?
Yeah, sure. So these have been a little while coming. Microsoft Flow and Microsoft PowerApps went generally available and on October the 31st. So PowerApps is all about being able to build lightweight applications that you can get out to people's phones and, inside your company, and you can build them really easily, drag and drop type stuff, connect them to data sources, all of those sorts of things. And then Flow it's kind of Microsoft's next take on workflow in some respects, right? It's like when you've got a small, lightweight job to be done inside the company, it might be like when something happens, save file off into Dropbox or send a contact into Salesforce or something like that. That's what Microsoft Flow is all about. But anyway, that went GA on the 31st, and this has been a little while coming. It's the two work pretty well together as well. Obviously, you can imagine building a Power App that does something about time sheeting or what have you, and then having some sort of approval process or something like that behind the scenes happening with Flow to connect the dots. Now, the interesting thing here is that, especially on the Flow side, for those SharePoint listeners, are probably like, what's going on with this in workflow and in SharePoint? And there's some pretty tight integration in Office 365 with Flow. And so not just on the technical side of integration, but also on the pricing side with integration as well. So as a Office 365 customer, you get access to Flow at a certain subscription level. And I think you get, per Office 365 user, you get 2,000 workflows a month runs, right? So you might build one workflow and it might run 2,000 times, but all of your runs are aggregated across users. So if you've got 10 users or whatever, you've got 20,000 runs. And then beyond all of these, but beyond those runs, you can buy them for $40 for 50,000 runs. And then, so if you want to step up above what you get for free with Office 365, they've got two paid for plans. There's the Flow Plan 1, I think they call it, and the Flow Plan 2. Flow Plan 1 is $5 a month and you get 4,500 runs a month. And Flow Plan 2 is $15 a month per user and you get 15,000 runs. So, it's kind of interesting because, they're giving away a bit with Office 365, which is good. Nowhere near enough for an enterprise customer. So you're going to have to either go up to Flow Plan 1 or 2 if you're enterprise. I can imagine them being kind of attractive, the free plan attractive to SMBs, small and medium businesses. But enterprises of any sort of size are going to run out of runs pretty quick, I think. And so they're going to have to go up to the paid for plans. I'm imagining, and I don't know all the details on this, but I imagine the paid flow plans you only need for the users that you want to create flows, because the aggregate runs seem to take care of everything else. And then you could go buy 50,000 runs for $40 per month. I don't believe you have to go license every single one of your users in the organization with one of the paid for plans if you trade up.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I'm not very clear on it though. I'm a little unclear on the difference of if I just go log in and create a flow, then isn't there like a free version of Flow like outside of 365 that you can take advantage of, like the IFT kind of style? Yeah,
there's a totally flow. Gosh, this is too many Fs. There's a totally free Flow, which is 750 runs a month. And that doesn't even require Office 365. You can just log in and start using it.
Yeah.
But then you get some more with a paid for Office 365 plan with Business Essentials, Business Premium, E1, E3, and E5 plans in Office 365.
I'm a little confused on how all the packaging works. I get it, but it's not terribly clear trying to explain it to someone. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then it gets even more confusing when you get into the feature matrix of what comes with each, because they're not all identical either. And you can tell they're trying to push you to the paid per user plans, obviously, like any service would, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the short story for Office 365 users is there's something in the box for you guys, and you should go check it out.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Flow and PowerApps are now finally GA. And
GA, yeah.
Well, this week, Microsoft also not just covered a couple of GA announcements, but they also had a pretty big preview, a hotly anticipated thing announced. And this week, they announced their preview release for what's called Microsoft Teams. For those of you who have not heard about what this is, you can think of it as Microsoft's answer to Slack, or at least that's how it's been built. From my point of view, it is built on top of Office 365 groups. I guess in my opinion, it's the client that we've needed for Office 365 groups. And it really brings in a lot of other things like files and Skype for Business conversations and stuff. So to me, in the little bit I've gotten a chance to play with it since it's come out, think if you're familiar with Slack, think about Slack, but then think about adding all of the big things that Office 365 has to offer and putting them all in one thing. Have you gotten a chance to take a look at this yet, CJ?
Yeah, I got it up and running at Hyperfish yesterday. And yeah, got some basic teams set up and got a few people in there and playing around with it. And I got to tell you, I am suitably impressed.
Mm-hmm. I am too.
I shouldn't sound so surprised, but I kind of am. Normally something that's, a little early is not really finished, right? And for a preview, it worked pretty well. There were a couple of bugs here and there, like I couldn't add people to other teams for a couple of hours, but they ironed that out. And I'm running on OS 10, right, on a Mac. So I had the Mac client, that installed fine. I got the iOS client installed fine. What I think is interesting here is I put out a blog post about this, and I'll say it on the show. There's nothing revolutionary about this, right? There's nothing crazy and new about what they're doing. It's just, to me, it feels like they've finally got their act together and bringing 5 or 6 or 7 pieces of the technical puzzle together into one client. So for example, you got groups in SharePoint, and you got team sites, and you got Skype for Business, and you've got IM, and you got chat and video calls and all that sort of stuff, and files and calendar and notes and all those. And you had to go to all different places for those in the past in Office 365, like Skype for Business client for IM and chat and video. We had to go to a team site for files or what have you. We had to go into your OneDrive to get your OneNote notebook, for example. And Microsoft Teams just feels to me not really much of a technical breakthrough in so much as, a productivity breakthrough in terms of getting it all into one space.
Yeah, I agree with that. It does a really good job of being kind of like the all-up client for all of those things and to kind of bring it all together. I found there's been some interesting conversations about it, since it's come up. People have posted about it on the internet. I know you and I have kind of gone back and forth on Facebook about it as well too, that I too am very impressed with what Microsoft has done. It's a very well done client. I like how nicely that it shows me everything like very easily, the meetings that I have and other people I'm connected to. Just a couple of thoughts about this. So one, it is a preview, and there are things that they're saying that they're going to add by the time it goes GA, which is supposed to be in I believe first quarter of 2017 or first half of 2017. For me, it's a little challenging to really get the value out of it because this isn't so much a Microsoft Teams thing. This is an Office 365 thing. Office 365 does not do a really good job. It's great for organizations or enterprises, but for small businesses and for people who do a lot of interaction across multiple organizations or people who are not in the same organization, it doesn't do a really good job on the sharing side outside of it. And so Microsoft Teams is really, for me, it's a lot more like, Microsoft introvert, because I'm really going into Microsoft Teams and I only see just me or trying to add my wife in there. I tried to add some external people and that's not working yet. It's a little annoying on that side. So I think that the people that are looking at this and they're coming out and saying, hey, this is the Teams is the Slack killer. I'm like, you're totally missing the boat on where one of the key features of Slack is, and that's cross-team collaboration or small team collaboration or public collaboration that you can do with different organizations and like a user group type thing. Slack's great for that, but this isn't going to cut it for that. At least it doesn't seem like it is to me.
Not yet. I'm willing to give them a little bit of leeway on this and say, hey, they're going to add external participation at some point. But I mean, there are a couple of fundamental flaws in the client around this, right? Like you can only log in using one Office 365 account. You couldn't log into multiple organizations like you can with Slack, for example. So it'd be interesting to see how they do it. But, back to the whole integration of all the things, right? One thing I found that really surprised me was the Skype integration is extremely tight. I shouldn't say surprised. It was the Skype team that built Teams. So this shouldn't be much of a surprise. But for example, like when you start IMing people with Skype for Business, you can do that right from within Teams. And when somebody's IMing you from a Skype for Business client, it pops up in your chat window in Teams. So it feels to me like this may be the replacement for Skype for Business client as well over time. You'll be able to get rid of the other client application and just use the Teams client, which I think is actually pretty nifty. And I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking it would just be chat within Teams, but it seems like it's across the Skype for Business client as well, which I thought was pretty nifty. So yeah, overall, I've got to say I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it would be, I don't know if we're going to see like Skype for Business go away, because if we're not using Teams and you just want the Skype for Business client, then I get that piece. You just want the IM or the video calls, but it's more the primary client that I would want to go with to get that to do those things. It'll be very interesting to see. They've gotten some really good press from it so far. It'll be very interesting to see how features kind of progress. If encourage everybody to go take a look at it. If you're in Office 365, go download it. There is a thing you have to go into your Office 365 tenant administration, and you do have to turn it on. First time I've seen a feature in Office 365 that doesn't ship as enabled by default. You have to go turn this on to be able to use it.
Yeah, I think because it's preview, they wanted for it not just to magically show up for people.
Yeah. But the other thing too is a discussion that kind of came up around, where does this fit in the whole enterprise social bit with Microsoft? And
so this is where things fly off the rails.
Yeah, and this is where things fly off the rails, and this is where you and I kind of went back and forth with somebody from Microsoft. I think Dan Holm from Microsoft on Facebook yesterday about this, and that's when they were doing the webcast yesterday. One of the things that they showed, or when they did the webinar, they showed a slide that showed all of the different collaboration things that Office 365 has to offer, and one of them, it showed Yammer, and the little caption under Yammer to describe what it was, it said Enterprise Social. And I'm looking at this like the whole damn slide is Enterprise Social. It's not, Yammer isn't that. And so to me, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that put a bunch of blog posts out about this. Avanade put one out that was written by Victor Whelan. Naomi Moneypenny put one out. John White put one out as well. There's some good independent posts that try to go through and position this. But I mean, to me, Yammer just feels like it's that, oh yeah, and we have this, which is like this extra offering, when to me, that stuff seems like it should be integrated as part of Teams. It shouldn't be, we've got Teams client and we have Outlook now. So you have those two clients, and then Yammer's just kind of out there. I still don't get how this thing fits in. And I tell you, personally, I'm getting a little pissed off at Microsoft about this too, because they keep saying, oh no, people will get it. Oh no, people will get it. I got a news flash here. You know what? You've been saying the same damn thing for the last year or two, and people don't get it. They haven't gotten it yet. Saying the same thing over and over doesn't make it true. So somebody's got to change the damn message from Microsoft, and has got to really explain, what is the position that Yammer has to offer, and stop using the same words that you're using, because it's not resonating with people today.
Well, it's just blatant bullshit, to be fair.
How do you really feel about it?
Yeah, I understand how this happens, right? They've got Yammer, they've got the team. They can't be like, oh yeah, that's a lame donkey. I'm going to put it out of its misery and put a bullet in it, right? They've got to. That's how I feel about how Yammer is right now, right? This to me is the death blow of Yammer. I don't understand the excuses or the explanation of, well, no, you have sort of longer, broader conversations over there and then shorter, chatty conversations over here. Whatever. I don't get that, because if I have to decide, oh, I'm going to open this other tool because I'm going to have a conversation that might last longer. Are you kidding me? Don't be ridiculous.
Or people responding with, oh, let's take this to Yammer, or let's this is a shorter conversation, we should put this in Teams. Or
yeah, I think those are all nice paper over the actual facts talking points. But the fact of the matter is it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, at least to me. And I'm sure lots of others are in the same boat and are either too polite to say or are not saying it. And I think this just muddies the waters. I get that there's lots of people using Yammer and they've spent years getting people to go use Yammer for Enterprise Social, and now they're going to have to go and explain how to go get people to use the new shiny thing. But to be honest, the new shiny thing is looking a lot better than Yammer, so it shouldn't be that hard. And it doesn't make any sense to people. The fact that you even have to have a discussion about what tool to use, to me, just means it's fundamentally broken. That's exactly my point to Microsoft. It's like, if I have to try and think, I have this conversation I want to have, if I've got to figure out between all these different places where I'm going to end up going, that's just not, it doesn't work. It's like, this is where I go. I go to Slack to do this stuff today. If I'm in an enterprise in Office 365, I get you're going to use Teams, or I get why Teams would make sense for someone like you, even as a small business with 10, 20 employees, you're all on Office 365. I get why those conversations would happen there. That makes a lot of sense.
At any rate, one of the features I thought that it did have that I thought was interesting was that they do have, and although there's a little bit of a challenge in the way that they've implemented it from what I've heard, again, I've only got an instance of one user, so I can't really see this, just the screenshots, is threaded conversations. That has been something that has been, people have hemmed and hawed about that, and that Slack has not had for a long time. Kind of funny, this morning, I posted something on Twitter to Slack, and I asked them, you guys, said you were doing threaded conversations, and you told us that over a year ago, and we haven't heard anything about that yet. All we've heard is this full page ad that you ran yesterday in the New York Times, the morning of the Teams announcement for Microsoft. So what can we expect here? And now that Teams has it, and Slack responded within about 30 seconds. It was pretty crazy. Slack headquarters, the Twitter handle, responded about 30 seconds and said, "We hear you were still working on it. Just hang on." So I shot back to him like, "Hey, I've been hanging on for a year. My arms are incredibly fatigued. You got to give us more." And they came back again right away and said something along the lines of, "We want to make sure that we get this exactly right, and we're getting the finish and all that kind of stuff." They implied that it's right around the corner. So we'll see. But I see enterprises, if they're using Slack and they're on Office 365, I see the sense in moving from Slack to Teams. But on the flip side, I don't.
Yeah. Actually, on that whole New York Times thing, can anybody say desperation more loudly from the top of the parapets, right? That was sad and unfortunate. And whoever didn't put the handcuffs on Stuart, what's-his-face, the CEO, needs their head read. Like, somebody should have stopped him from pushing that button, because it reeked of sad desperation. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Slack. I think Slack's an amazingly cool tool. But when you come out with hey, Microsoft, this is why we're better than you, and reading between the lines, there were like these 4 major points in that open letter on the New York Times to Microsoft from Slack. And it was basically like, we understand users, and it's not about the technology and all this sort of stuff. And between the lines, it was like, Microsoft, you don't really understand modern software. And all I can really say to that is, watch this, because they don't have to be as good as Slack. They have to be 80% as good as Slack, and their field will destroy them in the enterprise.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought it actually knocked my impression of Slack down just a little notch. Just like, wow, maybe you guys are feeling like supremely threatened by this.
I mean, they should. They honestly should. Microsoft's got 60 million plus monthly active users in Office 365, and Slack's got 3.
Yeah.
They are on the back foot to begin with. They've got a superior product, don't get me wrong. But having a great product is 20% of the problem. Mm-hmm. Or the solution, sorry.
Yeah. Or beta VHS.
Yeah, right, exactly. And especially in enterprise software, right, where it's all about the long sell and relationships and customers and cultivating that over time and building trust over time. And deals take a long time. And this is one of the big things that Valley companies doing enterprise software don't seem to grok, is that you have the best product in the world, but it's not just going to go magically viral and get into Fortune 100 companies.
Yeah. Well, with that, we'll see where it goes with this. I thought it was Microsoft did a pretty good job on this. Definitely coming out of the gate on this beta or this preview. So it's available today if anybody wants to go grab it. Again, just go to teams.microsoft.com. They got information there on where you can download the clients and how to go get everything configured for your tenant to be able to start playing with it. It's worth taking a look at today, and go have a play. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I'll tell you one final thought on this. We got my engineering team in a team and playing around with it. And these guys are hardcore Slack guys, right? They love it. And I didn't hear any complaints about Teams.
That's impressive.
It's actually pretty impressive.
That's very impressive. That is very impressive.
So proof will be in the pudding, but it ticks all the boxes for me for now anyway, and we'll see where it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing what else they add between now and GA.
You know what I don't like? I don't like the fact that the icon in the menu bar in OS X, I don't like the fact that that's colored, where everything else in the menu bar is just black and white.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't like that part.
It reminds me of the info path icon a little too much.
Oh man, you put where's your hammer and the death nail, man? You got that in the hair. You're going around to swing it.
Yeah.
That was mean, man. I was giving the benefit of the doubt.
I'll go and take 10 lashes after this. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, CJ, hey, thanks for another great episode, and we will talk to everybody in the next show.
Yeah, tweet us about what you think about Teams and let us know what you think. And we'll probably dive back into this topic again at some point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, again, everyone, if you like the show, tweet about the show. Please let us know what you think on giving us any kind of feedback. That's how we get our listeners, how we get better ratings and stuff is word of mouth. Also, head over to iTunes and drop us a 5-star review if you really liked it. If you didn't like it, then just refrain from leaving a 1-star review. That's okay. If you made it this far, you probably liked it, or at least we hope you did.
Exactly.
All right. Talk to you soon, CJ.
Cheers.
Did you like this episode? Send us a tweet about it and drop us a 5-star review in iTunes. Word of mouth recommendations are the most effective ways for us to grow the show. We'd really appreciate it. If you have a question for us, go to MicrosoftCloudShow.com/questions, where you can submit it as text. We'll record it as a WAV or an MP3 and provide a link so that we can play your question on the show. Our theme music is an excerpt from Evaporated Air by Monk Turner, used under Creative Commons. You can subscribe to us in iTunes and the Google Play Store by searching for Microsoft Cloud Show or via RSS at MicrosoftCloudShow.com, where you'll also find show notes of each episode. You can also find us on Facebook, searching for Microsoft Cloud Show, or on Twitter at MS Cloud Show. And finally, sign up to our mailing list by heading to our website and entering your email to interact with us, participate in upcoming interviews, and other cool stuff. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.